So, how fabulous really are the Fab Five? We will learn in today's episode of Statistical Sundays. Stay tuned. Over the years, there has been a lot of talk about the fabulous four batsmen of the world: Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, Steven Smith, and Joe Root. However, over the last couple of years, Babar Azam's consistent show across all three formats has earned him a place among the best of the best. When we look at the averages of the Fab Five, it's pretty clear that Virat Kohli is ahead of the rest of the batsmen. However, he's the only batsman who's played more than 200 games among these players. We will not be discussing their detailed ODI performances in this program. We'll look into their performances in the ICC events, that are the ICC World Cup and the Champions Trophy, and we'll dissect how well or otherwise they did during these events. To begin with, we'll have a quick overview of their overall ODI performances. Kohli leads the pack in terms of averages and strike rates. Babar Azam, however, is not far behind. The only batsman with sub 45 runs average in the pack is Steve Smith. When we look at the innings taken per 50 plus score, the innings taken per 50 and the innings taken per 100 runs, all of the batsmen are quite close in that regard. Now we'll deep into the ICC events and see how these players performed in those. When we look at the ICC events, the performances by the Fab Five are quite fantastic. Kane Williamson improves his regular average by 12 runs, while the rest of the pack, except for Virat Kohli, all post a 4 runs or more difference. Virat Kohli's average, however, dips by 3.5 runs. Looking at these numbers, we can certainly say that most of the batsmen perform really well and exceed their regular performance in the ICC events. However, India's skipper Virat Kohli has a slight dip, but considering he has a 59 run average, even the slight drop in performance is good enough by any standard. Now we'll look at the performances by these players in the matches won at ICC events. These players really step up to the plate when it comes to winning matches. Babar Azam and Kane Williamson both lead the pack with a 27 run average improvement when their teams are winning at ICC events. Similarly, other players also post good numbers. We can also see, in terms of average on its own, Babar Azam has the highest average with 86 runs, while next on the list is Kane Williamson with a 75 run average. Their strike rates also tend to improve in most cases. Chasing is an art, and it's not an easy task by any stretch of imagination. A lot of the players perform well while batting in the first innings, while they are not so good in the second innings. Some of the players are more comfortable chasing. We'll have a look at how these players performed while chasing in ICC events. Chasing is generally a tough ask. A lot of the batsmen wilt under pressure and are not able to deliver, especially at ICC events. However, the Fab Five really step up to the plate when it comes to chasing. Steve Smith and Joe Root up their average by 18 and 13 runs respectively, showing how big of an asset they are for their teams. At the same time, Babar Azam and Kane Williamson also significantly improve their average. Virat Kohli is the only player in this group that actually drops his average while chasing at ICC events. It is a bit surprising because Virat Kohli is known to be an excellent chaser and has won matches for India that no one thought they could. When it comes to successful chases, these players really show their quality and grit, and we can see why they are so highly rated and why they play such an important role in the victories for their respective countries. These players really outdo themselves when it comes to winning matches while chasing. Babar Azam improves his average by a whopping 56 runs per innings. However, it's Joe Root who really takes the cake here. His average jumps up by 122 runs, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Virat Kohli, Steve Smith, Kane Williamson, all of them really outperform themselves. However, interestingly, all of them except for Joe Root dropped their strike rate significantly in order to achieve these runs. Clearly, chasing can be difficult, but these guys just make it look so easy. These players really outperform themselves when it comes to ICC events. So, what is the most important part of any ICC event? It's the semi-final and the final, the real pressure games where a lot of greats have wilted and haven't performed. How do these five perform at that stage? Playing a semi-final and a final at ICC events is a rare occurrence. However, all of these players have had a bit of experience in that regard. Virat Kohli has the most matches with 8. Interestingly, when it comes to these crunch matches, Steve Smith ups his average by a whopping 80 runs per innings. The next person in the list who really shows a similar improvement is Babar Azam with 28 runs, although he's only played a couple of these games. Kane Williamson and Virat Kohli surprisingly dropped their average significantly, with Williamson going down by 20 and Virat Kohli by 18 runs. Joe Root's average also dips by 13 runs. Clearly it shows that although the sample size is small, Steve Smith and Babar Azam are much more adept to deliver under pressure than the rest of the group. So, I always love to say that numbers don't lie. During the ICC events, these players perform really well. Overall, Babar Azam is probably the most consistent player in this lot. However, he's also played the least number of matches. Virat Kohli, who has the most number of matches, seems to drop some intensity in the ICC events and especially at the knockout stages. Joe Root and Kane Williamson seem to up their ante for the most part, but their performance in the knockout stages is also not as impressive, while Steve Smith seems to be someone who really raises the game at a knockout stage or when his team needs him in a chase. So they all have their pros and cons, and we can conclude that they are all fabulous batsmen. They are all brilliant in their own right, and they really do well for their teams. We hope that more ICC events will take place in the near future, and we will bring you updated numbers and see how this comparison comes up with Babar Azam playing more games and catching up with the rest. Until next time.